welcome to At Risk International's latest Global Risk Intelligence Briefing. My name is Roman Fisher, Protective Intelligence Analyst here at Risk, and I'm joined by Director of Intelligence, Ross Hill. Getting started for you today, a recent article by the Homeland Security Newswire highlights an interesting research paper titled Cultural Threat Perceptions Predict Violent Extremism via the Need for Cognitive Closure. The full research article is available in volume 120 of the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences magazine. The rise in global violent extremism has motivated an international team of researchers to examine how people become violent extremists. Researchers analyzed this question through 6 studies and concluded that violent extremism predominantly grows from a sense of cultural threat. Some individuals with specific personality traits who perceive their cultural values as threatened are more likely to exhibit hostility and support violent extremists in response to that threat. Researchers focus primarily on jihadist extremism because countries like Afghanistan and Pakistan are heavily affected by terrorism. Also because terrorists claiming to act in the name of Islam have fueled widespread fear and suspicion of Muslims. And finally, because violent jihadists are commonly generalized to people sharing a specific culture or religion. The researchers introduced a psychological phenomenon called need for cognitive closure, NFC for short. They suggested that the human need for definitive answers and solutions to complex problems explains why a sense of cultural threat can lead to extremist behavior. Lead researcher Milan Obeidi says extremist groups can respond to the need for clarification by offering a simplified or black and white narrative of the world and a solution to perceived threats. This shows that violence and terrorism can be presented as the only solution to cultural threats. Obeidi claims that NFC is a psychological mechanism in people across groups and cultures. This includes Western right-wing extremists who perceive their status, power, and dominance as threatened by minorities or other opposing groups. Finally, Obeidi hopes that the continued study can raise awareness of the processes behind violent extremism and therefore limit its spread. And now I'll pass it off to Ross. Ross?
Thanks, Roman. So the security services in Austria foiled a planned attack on the annual Pride Parade in Vienna. The suspects were aged 14, 17 and 20, and they're Austrian nationals, but of Bosnian and Chechen origin. They'd allegedly become radicalized online and developed views that were sympathetic with the Islamic State. One of the suspects was actually already known to police for other terrorism charges. The authorities became aware of their plot and managed to keep them under constant surveillance. The suspects had sought to attack the parade using bladed weapons, basically, and potentially a vehicle to drive into the crowd. The suspects did try and obtain more lethal weapons, likely firearms, but were unable to do that. While Islamist terrorism has actually slowed down in the European Union over the last few years, we've recently seen some counterterrorism officials saying that they're worried about a resurgence of that type of activity. But overall, the number of attacks and plots has fallen. But if you actually look at the number of arrests, that's kind of remained the same over the last few years. And that suggests that kind of the level of radicalization and the level of support for groups like Islamic State has also stayed somewhat stable. But if you look at the details of the planned attack in Vienna, it was fairly rudimentary, rudimentary weapons, no kind of complex coordinated attack planned. So that really just shows that the risk is remaining the same, where the primary threat is from small groups or individuals inspired by the Islamic State, but not directly linked to the group, although we would never kind of rule out any kind of complex coordinated attack. That's it from us this week. We hope you found the information interesting and useful, and we hope to see you again soon.